Hi everyone. Today I want to share with you a controversial topic about whether or not to pay student athletes. Now my stance is no, because I believe the monetary value that students receive through their scholarship and the resources and facilities and all the things spent on student athletes is a high value and it is costly. And I feel like if schools had to pay each student, I'm not sure they'd be able to do it because of the amount that is already used on the student. So what I want to do is go over a few slides to show you kind of what a scholarship provides and about how much that scholarship can be over the course of 4 years and about how much is spent on each student athlete per year as well. So the first thing is what does an athletic scholarship cover? It's basically tuition and fees, books, supplies, housing, meal plans, and all that. Now some of this information I found in the Cincinnati Enquirer, and it was very helpful to figure out what all is available to the student athlete. Some other financial resources include providing meals for students when they're on the road and away, because obviously teams have to travel quite frequently. And also some students, based on families' income, they can get the federal Pell Grant as well. And obviously if their tuition is covered, they can use that money on whatever they choose. Also insurance. If a family's insurance for whatever reason doesn't cover a certain injury or whatnot, the school is permitted to provide insurance for them to cover those medical costs. Also, there is a student assistant fund provided by the NCAA. Now there are some limitations to that, but that is a good resource to have. Now I found in an article in the University Wire by Joel Mendelson, the question was, do schools profit? And according to a recent study, just 22 schools profited from football, college football, during the 2009-2010 academic year. And obviously, that's not as much as people think that every school profits from the student athlete. So I found this poll from the Washington Post that actually says 64% of the public opposes paying student athletes. So I found that very interesting. Alright, now, what I did here is you can see I have 4 teams, and the reason I chose these teams is they were in the college playoff last year, so I thought these teams would be a good idea to see what all the tuition, fees, books, supplies, room, board, to get an estimate about how much that costs in a year and then over the course of 4 years. Now, as you can see here, I have the room and board and tuition and fees for all 4 schools. And this is hard to get an idea of the cost, so I'm going to show you this slide here. Now here is the resident yearly cost, because obviously if you're a resident of the state, the tuition costs a lot less. However, if you're a non-resident, obviously it costs more. Now why is that important? Well, in Division I college football, a lot of teams recruit outside their state. So if it wasn't for the scholarship, the student athlete would have to pay a lot more, but the scholarship covers that. So as you can see, Oregon is sort of at the top, and then Alabama is actually not as costly, which I was rather surprised, being one of the top SEC schools. So I broke it down even more. So over the course of the 4 years that generally most students stay for, some do get out early their junior year, but as you can see is quite costly over the 4 years. You have Oregon at almost $100,000, and Ohio State is not too far behind. And then this is the cost for non-resident over the 4 years. As you can see, these numbers are rather high. So it costs them a lot to provide for student athletes that live outside the state. Now that's just the tuition and fees. That's just the academic cost. That's not counting how much is spent on them for travel, the facilities, the trainers, everything that they need to be the best student athlete they can be. So there's the average of many schools spend about $90,000 a year on some athletes, and you can see how that adds up over the course of the 4 years. So no doubt about it, the student athletes do bring in a ton of money for the universities, but you have to realize it's the way it's spent and how much is spent on the athlete, even though they don't receive it directly, but they do receive it in what they do as far as academically and on the field. And feel free to check out some of these sources to get some good information. For the tuition and fees, I just went to each university's webpage and found that, and some of the information on there. I found some really good articles, so you can check that out. So I want to thank you for listening. This is a very controversial topic. You can go back and forth. So whether they keep it the same or decide to pay the players, obviously I just hope they make the right decision and they just do what's best. Alright, hi everyone.